Well, hi everyone. Welcome back to Kids Club today. I'm excited to keep looking at the Bible today and learn some more stuff about God. Now, I wonder if you can remember what we've been learning about at Kids Club this term, because last week we had that fun week where we built a bunch of things and that was a lot of fun. But before that, we were learning about some stuff. I wonder if you can remember. Have a think. What was it? That's right. We were learning about the Wordless book, which is where we used a bunch of different colors to help us remember things about the story of God and the story of people. It helps us to remember what we call the gospel, the good news. Now, in the first week, we talked about creation. We talked about how God made the world, and he made the world perfect, and he made people perfect too. Just like that white cloth, humans were made perfect. And because we were made perfect, that meant that people, here's Adam and Eve, but this represents all people, could be friends with God. Because God is perfect and we were perfect, we could all be friends with God. But then something bad happened. Adam and Eve chose to disobey God. They ate fruit from the tree that he told them not to eat from. And because they sinned, they were stained by their sin, just like that nice white cloth that was now stained black. When people sinned, we were no longer perfect and pure anymore. Our hearts were stained with sin. But because God is perfect, that meant that we couldn't be friends with God anymore. And we used the color black to help us remember sin. Well then, for the next 2 weeks, we talked about what Jesus did to fix that problem so that we could be friends with God again. Jesus died on the cross and he paid the penalty. He took the punishment that people deserve for their sin so that they wouldn't be sinful anymore. Even though we still are sinful, even though we still do bad things, we can be forgiven because Jesus paid the penalty. And then Mel told us about how Jesus rose again from the dead. He was resurrected. He beat death. He had victory over sin and death, and he proved that he was who he said he was. He was God's son, and he did have the power to beat sin. Well, this week, guys, we're learning about a special word. The word is reconcile. Reconcile. That's a big word. You might not have heard that word before, but all it means is for two things that have been separated to be brought back together. When people sinned, we were made perfect, but when we sinned, we were separated from God. But God had a plan to reconcile us back to him, to allow us to be friends with him again. And that plan was to send Jesus to the cross, to pay the penalty for sin and rise again to prove that he really did it, that he was God's son, and that he beat death so that we can beat death too and be friends with God. In a book in the Bible called 2 Corinthians, there is a verse in chapter 5, verse 17, that says this: anyone who belongs to Christ, that's Jesus, is a new person. The past is forgotten and everything is new. Guys, we're all sinful. We all do the wrong thing. We all reject God as the ruler and king. But because Jesus died on the cross, we can be friends with God again. We can be reconciled to God if we trust in Jesus. If we ask him to forgive us for our sins and if we trust in him. He's already paid the penalty. All we have to do is accept his forgiveness. And then it says in 2 Corinthians that if we do that, we are made new. The past is forgotten. And there is peace with God. Everything is new and we can be reconciled to God. So to help us remember that, this week we're looking at the color. Well, it's not really a color, is it? We're looking at white. And so you'll find a craft pack, hopefully, where we're going to be making some greeting cards or some birthday cards or whatever you might want to make using all our white craft materials. If you didn't pick up a craft pack at Kids Club, I'm sure you have plenty of white paper or craft stuff lying around at home. And if you don't, do your best and we'll make sure that we give you a craft pack when we do see you at Kids Club next week. But the instructions for the craft will be just below this video on the website. So enjoy spending some time doing that craft and we'll see you guys next week. See you then. Bye.